So we're on part 2 of section 6.3 exponential functions, and we're going to explore what happens to your graph depending on what A is and what B is. So this is the core concept that's on page 307. I want you to copy it down into your notes, so you might want to pause this video to do that. Alright, the first thing we're going to look at is when B is greater than 1. So when B is greater than 1. So now let's look at the two options. The first option is if A is greater than 0. So if B is greater than 1 and A is greater than 0, your intercept will always be 0A, your y-intercept. And then your graph will be moving up to the right. So if we're talking about A is greater than 0 here, in red, I'm going to put what happens when B is still greater than 1, but A is now less than 0. If A is less than 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 1/2, anything less than 0, your intercept is still going to be A, but it's going to be a reflection over the x-axis because it's a negative A, and it's going to be looking like that. Alright, so now let's explore the second problem. Instead of B being greater than 1, we're going to look at B as being between 0 and 1. So it's not less than 1, it's not less than 0. It's between 0 and 1, which means it's a fraction. So what it looks like. First scenario is when A is greater than 0. Your intercept is still going to be 0A. But instead of increasing to the right, if B is a fraction, it's going to increase to the left. And then in red, when A is less than 0, what do you think your intercept's going to be? 0A, still the intercept. But since it's negative, it's going to be a reflection. But because B is a fraction, instead of this one, which is going down to the right, it's going to swing down to the left. Alright, so let's look at example 3 a little bit more carefully. So here's what it looks like. F of x equals 4 times 2 to the x power. Okay, which one is A? 4. So I'm going to just write in my book. Sorry, I'll erase it later, I promise. A is 4. So what's B? 2. B is 2. Okay, so looking at my notes, I'm going to look at B first. Is B greater than 1 or is it less than 1 and between greater than 0? Okay, it's greater than 1. So that means this graph should be facing which way? To the right or to the left? To the right. Now, is A positive or negative? Positive, so it should be facing up. Good. So that kind of just gives you an idea. Now, doing a T-chart or a table, plugging it in, when you plug in points, I automatically know that 0 is my intercept, so it's here, the one in blue. And then when you plug points in, you're seeing, oh yeah, it's facing to the right and it's going up. It's facing to the right because this B is greater than 1. It's facing up because A is positive. Okay, let's look at example 4. What is A in this function right here? Negative 1, very good. What is B? 1/2. Okay, so since this is a fraction, I know it's going to be facing to the left. And because this is negative, I know it's going to be pointing down. Good. So, and what is the intercept here? The y-intercept? -1. So 0, -1 is the intercept here. And then I plug numbers in, and you figure out it's the red line here. It's facing down and to the left. Okay, so from the worksheet that we're going to be working on and graphing our exponential functions, let's just review parts of it to help you get an idea of what the graph looks like before you do your t-chart and do the math. So here, a is negative 1/4. B is 1/2. So, because B is a fraction, it's less than 1 but greater than 0, it means that B is going to be facing to the left. And since A is negative, it's going to be facing down. And I know A is the intercept, so left and down, so it should look something like that. Let's look at number 2. A is 4, B is 2. Since B is greater than 1, it goes to the right. Since A is positive, it's going up. So it looks something like that. Number 3. A is 3, B is a half. Oh, since a half, it's less than 1, it's going to be facing to the left. And since A is positive, it's going to be moving up. And last one here, A is 1/4, which is positive. It's going to be facing up. B is greater than 1, so it's going to be facing to the right. So doing this on the side as a quick check gives you an idea to make sure that you're doing your math right, that your graph looks like what it should look like.